Welcome along to another edition of the West Cork League podcast with me, your host, Ger McCarthy. Another exciting weekend, lots to talk about, and I'm delighted as ever to be joined by the West Cork League PRO, Mike Cullen.
How we doing, Ger?
We're doing okay. No coronavirus issues with you just yet, or everything all right? You're not sneezing or coughing?
No, thank God, no. And hopefully we won't get it either. But I think they're looking bleak enough at the moment. But look, fingers crossed we won't get it.
Exactly. We're just getting to the end of the season and we want to complete that now, hopefully, as quickly as we can. Mike, there's really only one place to start, and it is with the Lake House Beauty Room Sevens League, Women's League, the hugely successful West Cork League venture this past season. A playoff for the league title this past weekend, a cracking game by all accounts, and a result, a 2-1 win for the defending champions, Enter Kinmare. It sounds like it was a cracking game. It sounds like it's been a really, really tight title battle all the way to the end, needing a playoff. You can't really say too much more about two very, very talented teams.
No, an absolute thriller of a league, Ger, in fairness. It was a battle between the two clubs all year at the top of the league. As we spoke with the two Drina clubs before, Drina AFC and Inter Kinmare, they were going at it all year. We had Drina AFC on top for a while, and then Inter Kinmare were on top for a spell of the season, but it went all the way to the playoff. And it proved to be a tough battle between the two teams again. A 2-1 win for Inter Kinmare, and they regained the title. So it was an absolute fantastic season. Congratulations to Inter Kinmare and congratulations to Drina AFC for providing such an exciting league for the West Cork League, and a great victory for Inter Kinmare. And Drina Rangers now, they had an absolute fantastic season, went all the way to the playoff. So it was a fantastic end to a very, very talented and interesting league.
Yes, and the interest for that league seems to be growing. A lot of extra clubs, both inside and outside West Cork, expressing an interest in possibly joining next year. I think, to be fair to both teams, Mike, just to draw a line under it, the fact that Drina trained so diligently, they're two teams like everybody else now, but they trained extremely hard this year. They're going to be looking forward to next season and going one better.
Yeah, 100%. Like we see pictures being put up there of clubs in the women's league training and AstroTurf, and it's a fantastic effort and fantastic interest by Drina Rangers and by every other team. But as we're speaking about Drina Rangers here, yeah, look, they had big numbers out this year. They had two teams, as we know. They'll want that title next year, and they'll be raring to go. If we know what Drina Rangers are like in every grade. The women will be no different, so they'll be raring to go next year.
Indeed they will. And a quick word as well, Mike, for Enter Kinmare. Obviously they're from down in Kerry, but they love playing their football. They've come to West Cork and been a huge addition to the West Cork Women's League, not just this year but over many years.
Yeah, fantastic tradition in the West Cork League for Inter Kinmare. They're proving their work. They're proving to be the team to beat, obviously, and it's fantastic for them. And congratulations to them. We're always looking for teams from the Beara Peninsula to come and join us in every grade. So it's a great league to be in, and the Inter Kinmare women are enjoying it thoroughly. So yeah, look, fantastic win for them. Regained it. Just 2 in a row now for them, and congratulations to all of them in Inter Kinmare.
Indeed, and I'd echo that as well. Fantastic for them, and a real positive this season to see so many women out playing soccer, so many women out enjoying playing their soccer, and hopefully this league will go from strength to strength. Speaking of going from strength to strength, last Monday night, one of the final games of the knockout games of the league this season in the Lake House Beauty Rooms League was a playoff for the Shield, and that was between Bantry Bay Rovers and Ulta Celtic. Now, the conditions were horrible in Dunmanway, but a fantastic game took place, and credit to the Gaelkill club. They ran out 4-2 winners, Ger McCarthy with a hat-trick and Jess Kelleher with apparently a cracking long-range goal as well, for a Bay Rovers team that have ended their season on a high with a trophy. A fantastic result for them, and a huge amount of work being done down there at the moment, behind the scenes, by Donald McGran, a lot of other people in Bantry, a lot of underage girls getting involved in playing soccer now. Fantastic for Bantry, first of all, Mike, to end their season with a trophy, with the Shield trophy. And a word too for Ulta, their goal scorers, Gillian Crowley and Amy Shorten. Their first year for many of the team players in that team playing soccer this year. They will be all the stronger for it next year.
Yeah, 100%. I suppose we're pretty certain Alta. Alta Celtic put in a team this year, got a lot of girls on board that never played the sport before, and they thoroughly enjoyed it. As we could see, from the game last week in the Shield final against Bantry, and that'll boost them for next season as well. We know that the Alta Celtic girls, they're really, really looking forward to next year again. Unlucky that they didn't win, but look, Bantry, in fairness to Bantry were. With all the work that's going on down in Caelkill at the moment in the underage and in the women's soccer, it is a fantastic club down in Bantry, and it's fitting for the women's team now to come away with a trophy at the end of the year.
Indeed, it is great work being done there. Hopefully, they'll continue that over next year and beyond. And great to see Ulta competing in a Shield final in their first season. And speaking of Ulta, Mike, this past weekend, the previous Sunday, actually, Ulta played twice in a couple of days. They played in the West Cork Ladies Sevens Cup quarter final, but they went down to a single goal to Beara FC.
Yeah, Beara FC coming out the winners there. But as we always talk about Alta are a very tough team. Even though if the results don't go with them, they're always a real tough team to play against. They're no bad shakes either. They're a very, very tough, competitive team, and they just came out winners 1-0.
They did, with Shannon Hanley-Murphy scoring the only goal in that particular tie, and the other tie which took place saw Dunmanway Town reach the last four of the Cup by virtue of a 2-1 win over Beara AFC. Marie Toomey was on target there for Beara, and a chance for Dunmanway, Mike, and for Beara FC. They'll be the big underdogs, obviously, in the semi-final with the other two teams, Drina and Endra Kinmare, left in it, but great to see them getting to the last four of a Cup competition.
Yeah, fantastic, and a fantastic win for Dunmanway. They've got a very strong team there in the women's soccer in Dunmanway, and as you said, look, they're into the final four now. They may be underdogs, but they'll fancy their chances against an Inchiquin team that already are going for the double, and a very strong Drina Rangers team. But as we've seen towards the end of the season, this league, every team is very competitive, and I wouldn't write off any team going into the final four.
Very magnanimous of you there, Mike, sitting on the fence. Let's move now into the Beamish Cup quarter-final. Spartak Musgrove and Dunmanway Town already through to the last four from the previous week. But this past weekend we had two cup quarter-finals down for decision. Clonakilty Town hosting Mizzen and Lyre Rovers taking on Salan in Knockshka. I had the pleasure of attending the Clonakilty Town and Mizzen game. Thankfully, horrible weather conditions before just broke in time for the game to kick off, and no goals in the first half. All the goals coming in the second half, with Mizzen's David Farrell putting the visitors 1-0 up. But that was Clonakilty Town's cue to move up through the gears. Tiernan O'Connell equalised, and the two centre-backs combined in the end for Clonakilty Town, with Ian O'Driscoll heading home a free kick to make it 2-1. Now, Clontown had to survive a very late scare. Brilliant save by Owen Ryan from a free kick on the edge of the box that was heading towards the top corner, hit off the post and away to safety. Relief for John Leahy and his players, Mike, but a terrific result against a very strong Mizzen team. Yeah,
big result for Clontown. I was saying there last week that I was finding it hard to find a winner there between these two, but a very, very good win, especially coming from a goal down to nick it. As we can remember, Clontown came back from 3-0 to beat Ballyhob, so they're a team that keep coming back even if they're down. There's no giving up with this Clontown team. As you said, Tiernan O'Connell and Driscoll scoring for Clontown. Driscoll seems to be scoring in every big game for Clontown. He's had a unbelievable year altogether for Clontown, but a big win for Clon. As I spoke about Mizzen, Mizzen main focus was to get promoted to Premier Division, which they've achieved. But they were a tough team. But Clontown into the semi now, and a very, very interesting semi-final to look forward to.
Indeed it is, because it's a local derby after Lyre Rovers edged Salan 2-1 at home in the other quarter-final last weekend. And if ever a club needed a boost that are struggling at the wrong end of the Premier Division table, it's Lyre. And this could well be an absolute cracker, Mike, when these two meet.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's a local derby. The two clubs know each other very, very well. The managers know each other very well as well. And but it was a good win, 2-1 win for Lyre Rovers, with James Lyman and Jonathan Deasy in score sheet for Lyre, and Michael O'Donoghue then for Salan. But a huge win for Lyre. Salan showing their worth. But Lyre, as we spoke already during this year, they're a very competitive team and very hard team to put away. But it's a mouth-watering semi-final. It's a Clonakilty derby. There's going to be two really, really strong teams out for this cup semi-final, and we will have a Clan team in the final of the Beamish Cup this year against Dunmanway or Spartak. So it's going to be an absolute cracker.
Indeed it is. This is Clonakilty's third Beamish Cup semi-final appearance in 4 years. Lyre Rovers, of course, got to the final a couple of years ago against Drina Rangers at Baltimore Road, only to lose in the decider. So both of these teams are used to getting to the latter stages of the tournament. Now they have an opportunity to get to the final where they'll meet either Spartak or Dunmanway. And the good news, I suppose, for football fans is that no matter what combination of teams get to that final this year, it is going to be a very, very good game, and that's all anyone wants to see. Let's move back a day to Saturday, March the 7th, and the Under-19 West Cork League, where there were 2 matches completed. Let's talk about the local derby first, Mike, because it was lots of goals, always a good and entertaining game, and a big win for Toher Celtic over their local rivals.
Yeah, massive win, 4-1 win for Toher Celtic. Very talented under-19 squad in Toher. We have Conor O'Neill, Peter Collins, Jerry Collins in score sheet in an own goal, and Derek Collins getting the goal for Dunmanway. But a massive win for Toher Celtic puts them on top of the league now with a game in hand, with a game played more than Bunratty United, so they're on 16 points now. So an absolute fantastic win for Toher, and it puts them on top there.
It does. That other game in that league this past weekend was a 5-goal thriller down in Calekill, Bay Rovers and Castlelack coming out on top, Mike.
Yeah, I suppose it would have been a surprising result for a lot of people, sure, especially with Bay Rovers being at home. Castlelack within half-time being 1-0 up. Fionn Mooney, Ross O'Mahony and Harry Donegan scoring for Castlelack, and Bay Rovers Aitron Doyle and Fiona Driscoll scoring for the Calekill side. Brilliant win for Castlelack. It takes them off the bottom of the table. They've got points on the board. It was a win that I suppose Bantry Bay Rovers were hoping to get to 3 points, but it wasn't so, and a fantastic win for Castlelack.
Yes, indeed, a very, very good win for Castlelack, especially as they hadn't scored or hadn't got a point all season. Disappointment for Bay Rovers, but 2 teams there with lots to play for between here and the end of the campaign. One result from the Championship Cup, the West Cork League Championship Cup, involving all the Championship teams, Mike, and quite a big win too for Castletown Celtic.
Yeah, good win for Castletown. We always talk about Castletown Celtic. Depending on the team they have out in the day, and they needed a win and they got a win. So that's gonna keep the momentum going on. Castletown. We always talk about GA and how many players will be available, but in fairness to Castletown, they got the win, and it was a win that was badly needed.
4-0 Castletown Celtic. They continue on the Championship Cup. Castlelack's interest in the competition is over. Into Sunday, and a big game at the top of the West Cork League Division 2 between Kilbrittain and Dunmanway Town B. Now, we previewed this last week and it was quite a close one to call, but a statement of intent, I think, is the best way you could describe Kilbrittain running out 5-0 winners, Mike.
Yes, absolutely. A big win and a big statement, as you said there, Ger. 5-0 win for Kilbrittain. Keane O'Leary with 2, Declan Maloney, Jerry Coughlin, and Anthony Casey, and it was a big win and a big mark put down by Kilbrittain. They want this Division 2 title, and a massive 3 points from.
A massive 3 points. It puts them a point clear of Drina Rangers at the top of the table. Castlelack as well in there now, as well, still on 4 points with only 2 games played. The same for Castletown Celtic, they're on 3 points. So a lot of twists and turns to come in what has been a very, very entertaining division so far since the split from the Championship. Right, Mike, into Sunday, and obviously the Premier HighSpecCars.com Premier League. It's a Sunday afternoon. Drina Rangers are at home. Unsurprisingly, it's another win for the Cannon Crawley Park Club, but they didn't have it all their own way, but a very, very important 3 points.
Yeah, massive 3 points for Celtic. They never have it easy against Toher. 2-1 win for Drina, young Robbie McQueen, and the old experienced Keith go on the score sheet for Drina. David May, the prolific striker for Toher, on the score sheet for them. It was Drina Rangers, by all accounts, were playing a good quality soccer last Sunday, so it's a big win for them. It's a tough victory, but it's 3 points they badly need. They go in now. They have 3 more games to play against Dunmanway, Ballyhob and Clontown. So that was a must win for Drina Rangers, and it's three points in the bank.
Psychologically, Mike, it puts them 5 points ahead of yourselves, Ballyhob, and 6 points ahead of Clonakilty Town. They have some big games left to play, as you said, but the reality is that they're in the pole position now. They're the ones that will dictate it, and if they can get those results in those final 3 games, as difficult as it will be, they will be champions.
Yeah, if they get 9 points over the last 3 games, they become the new Premier Division champions. And I wouldn't put it past them either. You know, you look at their last 3 games, very tough 3 games with Clontown, Ballyhob and Dunmanway. You know, I wouldn't put it past them getting the 9 points there, but it's not going to be all straightforward for Drina. You know, we talk about next week, and you know they still have to play the likes of Dunmanway Town and Clontown that are both in Beamish Cup semi-finals and could be in a Beamish Cup final. So 2 very, very tough teams there, but it's going to go down to the wire, I feel. You know, we saw last year, Ballyhob and Dunmanway went all the way to the playoff. So, you know, I think it's going to be very tight again this year.
It is going to be very tight. You looking for a playoff, big headlines to end off the season. And one quick word about Toher, Mike, as well, because from a psychological point of view, the bottom of the table, Bunratty are gone, as we pretty much know now and have known for a while. But the 3 teams directly above them, Doris are on 13 points, Toher on 13 points, and Lyre are on 15 points. Now, Toher have 2 games in hand on Lyre and 1 game in hand on Doris. That dogfight to avoid, one of those teams is going to avoid the drop. 2 of them, or one of them will be involved in a relegation playoff. It's just as tight at the bottom as it is at the top, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's very it's very tight in the bottom, because like you've got. Look, we already spoke about what points the clubs are on, but I suppose the pedigree of the clubs that are down, they're real hard battling clubs. Doris and her dogfight, they want to stay in the Premier Division. They worked very, very hard to get up there, as we know. Last year with a huge season last year. Tor Celtic are battlers, always been battlers. You know, after winning the Beamish Cup last year, it'd be an absolute disaster if they went down. And the same with Lyre. So, you know, it's going to be as exciting down the bottom as it is in the top. Who would have thought that Tor Celtic would be, you know, battling out at the bottom? I certainly didn't think it last year, but it's going to be very interesting. They have 2 games in hand, as we spoke about. Tor Celtic have. You know, Doris now have a very tough game again next week, so Tor Celtic will be looking at Doris, hoping that they'll drop points.
Indeed they will. So let's talk about next week. That wraps up all the results and goal scorers in the past couple of days in the weekend. Looking ahead to Saturday, March the 14th, and the Under-19 West Cork League sees Bantry Bay Rovers hosting Drina Rangers at 1 o'clock in Calekill. Drina, in that particular division, obviously need a win to stay in touch, while like Bay Rovers are looking to recover from a disappointing 3-2 loss. Despite that loss and despite home advantage, I would imagine you'd agree with me on this one, Mike. Drina should be coming out with all 3 points here.
Yeah, you'd expect Drina to come out with 3 points here against Bay Rovers. You know, we kind of expect the Bay Rovers to get the 3 points against Castellack, but you know, it was a good win for Castellack. You know, Bay Rovers will be hungry to right the wrong there, but it's going to be a very tough ask with a very good, talented Drina Rangers team.
Indeed. Let's jump down into the West Cork League Division 2. There's 3 games, and each result here will have a bearing on the league table. Oh, sorry, before we do that, there is one game on Sunday in the same West Cork Under-19 League, and it's that game that we seem to keep talking about week after week, Mike. It's Artfield against Bunratty. It looks like it'll finally go ahead this Sunday. Give me just one winner from that.
Bunratty.
That's a good answer. Now, Artfield do have games in hand, 1 game in hand on the leaders. They're on 9 points. Bunratty are on 14. And a win for Bunratty, which would draw them level in the same amount of games as Tor, would also put them top of the table. They look like they are one of the serious title contenders this year, so that should be a very, very good game if it goes ahead in the showgrounds. Into Sunday and the West Cork League Division 2. And the league leaders, Kilbrittain Rovers FC, are away to Castletown Celtic at 11 o'clock in the morning. Drina Rangers B, who are a point behind in second place, host third place Castellack at 2:30 at Canon Crawley Park. That should be a cracker. And a local derby between Dunmanway Town B and Ulta Celtic takes place at 2:30 in Mona. I guess the pick of those games, Drina B and Castellack, should be a tight one, but if Castletown Celtic have any notions of making a move in this league, they've got to take points off the leaders Kilbrittain this weekend, Mike, don't they?
They do, yeah, 100%, yeah. And it's going to be a very tough task for Castleton Celtic, especially with a big win for Kilbrittain last week. A good 5-0 win for Kilbrittain. Their confidence will be up, and they'll travel to Castleton very confident. But look, if Castleton want to get their hands on the Division 2 Cup, they have to win against Kilbrittain. But it'll be a very tough battle for them.
Yeah, 3 very, very good games and close games there. Ones to take in if you're around on Sunday afternoon. Remember, no admission fee, lots of good football. And Kilbrittain, who knows, could they finish the season as Division 2 champions? We will see over the next couple of weeks. Up to the O'BrienWaterServices.com Championship and a crucial game at the Baltimore Road at 11 o'clock on Sunday morning. Skibbereen, who currently lie in 5th place, taking on current 2nd place Mizzen AFC. 2 very talented teams here, Mike, but 2 teams with an awful lot to play for. A win for Mizzen draws them level on points with Spartak, puts pressure on them in terms of the race for the title. Both they and Spartak are obviously promoted, but for Skibbereen, they're on 22 points, Baltimore on 23 points. They absolutely have to take something from this game if they're going to force their way in to the playoff ahead of possibly Baltimore and Riverside.
Yeah, absolutely. A very, very big game for Skibbereen. It's a home game for them, so look, they're going to be very confident. John Allen's team would have watched Mizzen against Baltimore on the same grounds a couple of weeks ago. And I suppose we spoke about that game, Joe. Mizzen lost or missed a lot of chances against Baltimore. So I'd say Skibbereen will fancy their chances against Mizzen. I suppose, look, Mizzen has to win if they want to keep the pressure on Spartak Moscow, as you just said there. But they know they're promoted, but they still want to push for that title. So look, it's going to be a fascinating game. I wouldn't be surprised if it came to be 3 points for the home team, because we saw Skibbereen last year. They really pushed on towards the end. They got into the playoff against Clontown. So I wouldn't be surprised if Skibbereen did come up with 3 points there.
Yep, should be a cracker. I think that might end up as a draw because Mizzen were very, very good against Clontown this past weekend. They're gunning for that title. They want that trophy. Disappointed to miss out on the Beamish Cup semi-final appearance. Could be a very, very good game on an always brilliant pitch in the Baltimore Road. Up to the PremierHighSpecCars.com Premier Division to round off this week's podcast. 3 games, implications at both ends of the table. Let's talk about 2 of the teams that are fighting relegation. Lyre Rovers not involved this weekend in the league, but both Doris and Toher Celtic have home advantage. Doris welcomed Dunmanway Town at 11 o'clock on Sunday morning, and at the exact same time, Toher Celtic would take on Clonakilty Town in the race field. 2 crucial games here, not just for the relegation threatened teams. Obviously, Mike, Dunmanway are still chasing Drina and Clonakilty Town not out of the mix just yet, but huge pressure on both of those home teams to get something out of these games. Yeah, absolutely. And what clubs and the teams that they're playing are high flying at the moment, so it's a huge battle for both clubs. If I start in the Doris and Dunmanway Town game, I think Dunmanway went over there 2 weeks ago and they absolutely hockeyed them 5-0. Doris will have to have their full squad out in order to get anything from this game. So it's a tough one for Tig and the Doris boys. It's hard to look beyond 3 points for a very talented Dunmanway Town team. And the Toher Celtic and Clontown game, this is going to be a very, very tough battle. 2 very tough teams. Clonakilty Town are doing absolutely fantastic this year. They're not out of the mix from the Premier Division, and they're into the Beamish Cup semi-final. They're also in the Parkway Cup final, I believe. So they're absolutely flying it. Tough battles for both teams, and it's a must-win for Toher Celtic. Yeah, there's not going to be an awful lot in either of those games. I expect low-scoring encounters, which means it's probably going to be 5-4 and 6-5. But depending on availability and players' availability, I would still fancy the 2 away teams there. Although I think Toher, the results have been up and down the last couple of weeks. This is a result that might take them away from the bottom of the table. They know that, and it's going to be a battle right up, as you said, until the final weeks of the season. 2 very, very, very important games for Doris at home to Dunmanway and Toher taking on Clonakilty Town. But the highlight of the weekend and the standout fixture clearly will be in Canon Crawley Park between the league leaders Drina Rangers and second place Ballydehob. Ballydehob 5 points behind with the same amount of games played. Goal difference of plus 12 for Ballydehob, goal difference of plus 19 for Drina Rangers. 5 points clear of Ballydehob. Is any other result than a Ballydehob victory here lights out for you, Mike? I mean, you really got to go and win here, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. it's not a great fixture for us as well, and we haven't played in about 3 or 4 weeks. But look, we've got to go and we've got to get the 3 points in Cannacrowley Park. And I know for a fact our lads will be up there as well. We love going over. We love playing against Trina Rangers, especially over in Trina. Lovely pitch, lovely grounds. And last year was an absolute cracker there. It was 1-1 draw with a bit of action towards the end of the game, but with a last minute penalty for us. But we're going to go there. We're going to go and try to get the 3 points off them, and that's what way we'll come out. I'm not too sure, but we do like going over there, and we wouldn't be afraid of Trina either. So I'm looking forward to it.
Very good. I know well that you're not afraid of them, but they do as well. I think, as you said, what might be crucial there is the fact that you haven't played in a couple of weeks. That might stand to Trina. The fact they've had those couple of games very, very tight. Should be an exciting game. If you're around on Sunday morning, I'd urge anybody to go and look at two really, really good football teams. Get the ball on the ground, play lovely, attractive football, and plenty of goals, plenty of drama too, I would imagine, this coming weekend. That's at Cannacrowley Park at 11 o'clock on Sunday. Drina Rangers, the league leaders, second place, Ballyhob, Premier High Specs Cars.com, Premier Division. That's about it for another West Cork League podcast. Before we finish up, can I just remind you, thanks to everybody who has subscribed to listening to the podcast. You can download and listen to your smartphone or device from both Spotify or Podbean. And remember, we're also on the West Cork League's official YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube and search for West Cork League, you'll find the podcast there. You can find all the information you want and more, and the most up-to-date information on the West Cork League on their official website, westcorkleague.com, and also on social media through @WestCorkLeague on Twitter and the official Facebook page of the same title. Mike, it's been a pleasure as always to talk to you. Loads of action this past weekend. We'll sign off by saying congratulations to both Inter-Kinmare and Bantry Bay Rovers women's sevens team who've won trophies this past weekend. Mike, lots to look forward to this coming weekend and plenty to talk about, I'd imagine, next week.
Absolutely, yeah. And as you said there, congratulations to Inter-Kinmare and Bantry Women's. Fantastic league and fantastic competition throughout.
Indeed. Well done to everybody concerned with making that league such a success this year. Everybody in the West Cork League committee and all the clubs that took part, and who knows how many clubs might be get involved next year. If you'd like to know more, simply go to the West Cork League website to find out all the information there, and you can find any of the local clubs, get in contact with them. If you are interested in taking part next year, we'd be delighted to have you. That's about it for this week's episode. Thanks for listening. You can follow me on Twitter at Ger McCarthy 74, and we'll talk to you again soon.